Good morning, everybody. I'd like to, even though we have this little splash zone down here where no one will sit, and Renee, thank you so much for pointing out that I was sitting there by myself. We'll talk about that later. No one will sit next to the superintendent, so. Anyway, I think I want to start and just let you know how proud and lucky and humble I am to be the superintendent in this district. And I can't think of a better place to be. I can't think of a better place for my kids to be. Elena, who you guys heard speak more eloquently than I a few years ago, is actually starting AG right now, and she's next door with a great link crew program at Arroyo Grande High School. And my son Jack is starting the 7th grade at Judkins. And to have my students be in this district, I can't think of a better place to be or better hands to be in than in your hands. So as everybody else has said, this district is amazing. And 4 years ago when I came here, I had no idea what I was doing. Some people would say, I still have no idea what I'm doing. But I really want to thank you guys, because these have been probably the last 3 or 4 years, I believe, have been the most difficult times in education. And through all that, you guys have been positive, you've been helpful, you've embraced change, and done a significantly amazing job every day. Teaching, I believe, gets harder every year. You know, as Beth said, it's getting a little old doing more with less, and that's the way things are going to be for a while. But your commitment to our kids and our youth, and just making things work, and showing kids, frankly, how much you love them and care for them and want the best for them is unlike any district I've been in. And some of you know I'm pretty well traveled, and this is my 6th school district. I started in Tamalpais Union High School District. I worked in Nevada Unified, I worked in Santa Fe City Schools, Roseville City Schools, Corvallis Unified, and finally here. Some people would say it's hard for me to kind of keep a job and I have to keep moving, or that I have a short attention span, but really I've learned so much from each of those districts. And one of the things I've learned is that districts are not all the same. And the culture of the school district and the leadership in the school districts are all different. And it's not, as you probably know, I hope, because a lot of people in Lucia Mar were born and raised here, like Andy, who we call on for a lot of context, and it is a great place to be. So my first point is that people matter, and leadership matters, and you all really matter. And leadership in this district, and not my leadership really, but I would start with the school board. You know, being a school board member during times of cuts is an incredibly difficult thing to do. And I thank you guys, because no matter what decision you make when you're cutting, you know, trying to decide between laying off teachers, cutting nurses, cutting counselors, cutting everything that you can think of is going to be an unpopular decision. But I think we've made those hard decisions, and as Renee said, even though we're facing another $3.1 million in cuts, we have budgeted for that and we're ready for that. So starting with the leadership of our school board that has been innovative and forward-thinking, we have what I would consider to be the most amazing cabinet, the district leadership, and now with Renee being brought on board, I think you saw from listening to her comments how connected to students she is. But with Renee and Andy, Michelle, and with Don Dennison, Student Services, Kevin Baker in Facilities, Alan in IT, I can't think of a better team to lead our district forward. Our principals, who I keep moving around much to their chagrin and probably yours, our principals have also stepped up, and I think our leadership here really is unsurpassed. And I would also like to thank our teacher leadership, because as Lloyd actually pointed out, we need to work in collaboration, and we're doing that right now. We've had a couple of groups that I'll talk about in a minute that have just done an amazing job of giving us direction and input as to how we need to move forward. But TAP was a significant achievement last year. I think the fact that 7 schools were willing to try something brand new, and that not only LMUTA but CTA was willing to try that and see how it worked, because I really believe that TAP is going to be probably the single most incredible initiative that we have. And I just, kudos to Lloyd and to Kevin and Ann and Jackie and all those on the negotiating team that instead of fighting things that are coming, I think really embrace TAP for all the right reasons. The other leadership we have is Edie. Edie is brutally honest, and I wouldn't have it any other way, and neither would she. But having those kinds of people in leadership positions in this district makes a huge difference. And Edie has been there all the way, and she doesn't hesitate to tell you when you're screwing up. But she tells you when you're doing a good job too. And so, again, we are just incredibly lucky to have you all in this room because it's making a huge difference. We did adopt our mission, vision, and values last year, and so these are the 5 values that actually our Vision 2020 committee, after lots of discussion, came up with. And these are things that are always here. These are things that don't change. These are things that define our district. I mean, first of all, we hire great people, and there's no substitute for that. If you don't start with great people with integrity, with a love of kids, with a love of what they're doing, and a passion, and that's what we do. Second is teamwork. Without collaboration, without people working together, there's no way we're going to get to where we need to be. So that's another important one. Excellence and personal best, which I see from you guys every single day in every way. Resilience. These are tough times. We have to have perseverance. We have to have tenacity, and we have to be able to get up when we fall down, and you guys are certainly able to do that. And innovation, I think, of all these values is the word that keeps coming up in Lucia. I think we are the district that is more innovative than any other in the state. I think we are a model school district, and that's because I think with innovation, you are willing to take risks, you're willing to make mistakes, and willing to embrace change and try new things and think outside the box. And if we're not able to do that, we are not going to survive in the 21st century because things are changing at such an incredibly rapid pace that we can't keep up with that. So the next question I have for you is, when we did that Vision 2020 group, we looked at how things had changed a lot in the last 20 years. Well, I'd like you to think about how you think things will be different 10 years from now. Because things are going to be, I would say to you, incredibly different. In fact, I think the classroom as we know it in 10 years is not going to exist. I think the role of the teachers, the role of the students, online learning, all the technology is going to change things in ways that we can't even imagine right now. So that's my question for you, and you've been sitting, and I appreciate that for a long time, so I want to show you a little video in a minute. But, one of the things that, there's a quote that I want to point out that might have just come up there, and it is, in a time of drastic change, it is the learners who inherit the future. The learned usually find themselves beautifully equipped to live in a world that no longer exists. That was said by Eric Hoffer, and I think, I went to this conference with Al in November this summer about technology and integration in 21st century, and the word that kept coming up was learners. And wanting all of us to be voracious learners. And to combat the change and deal with the change, we've got to be willing to learn and to grow. And so kudos to all of you for being willing to learn. I wanted to show a little video. There's a source called TED Talk. Raise your hand if you are familiar with TED Talk or have seen any of that. So TED Talk started in 1984 in Monterey, and basically to share great new innovative ideas that they felt would change the world. And it's kind of morphed through there in the 2000s. They used to meet in Monterey once a year. Now they start putting it online every year. And so TED really just brings in very creative, different ideas. And you have to keep it short, which is a good model for me. So you have to have your TED Talk 15 minutes or less, and it needs to be innovative and creative. And so, and actually this next one is a guy from India, and his name is Pranav Mistry. And he's going to talk about sixth sense technology. And this is actually 2 years old. It was from 2009. So I just want you to kind of get a feel for how things are changing even more dramatically than you might think. So watch out this TED Talk on the sixth sense. So I don't know if that's scary or helpful or what, but I don't know if those brain implants are too far away. I could probably use one, but I just want you to see, again, that was 2 years ago in 2009. And I show that really just as a little window into 10 years from now, how technology is really going to make a huge difference in the world. So I really want to thank you all for embracing, I think we've embraced change in this district. And I think we've embraced innovation. And to me, that's a necessity. We've got to grow, and we've got to be learners, voracious learners, so we can make sure we keep up with it and give our students all these skills and so they can be successful in the world. So briefly, I just want to talk about our last, these 3 main initiatives. There's nothing new really in the district this year. 21st century skills will continue to be our main focus, TAP, and career pathways. So 21st century learning is, as you all know, we have listed the 7 skills. This is a group, Lloyd mentioned collaboration, and one of the things it's taken us a while to learn, even though we kind of know this, is that you guys as teachers already know a lot of what we're doing. And every time we hire a new consulting group from the outside, like the Materi group or whatever, not only are they expensive, they're just not that good. So we have kind of dispensed with bringing in experts from the outside and going to you guys as our own experts. Really excited about this group. I asked each of our principals to find a teacher or two who was really into 21st century skills, and that was passion for them. And we met for a day in June, and we prioritized, or they prioritized the 7 skills. We said, hey, we can't do all this at one time. Which of these are most important? So we took a whole day and delved into that, and they came up with teamwork, collaboration, and cooperation, and critical thinking and problem solving as the 2 most important skills to start with. And so those are the 2 we'll start with. And then last week, we brought that same group together for 2 days and said, hey, can you guys develop some rubrics for these? If we think these are important, then we have to find a way to be able to assess these. So again, we didn't bring in anybody from the outside, and our teachers, to their credit, we had an elementary group, K-6, and we had a high school, middle school group, 7-12. They kind of came up with a draft of teamwork on one day and what those key attributes were and what the descriptors were. It's a little bit different for elementary than high school. And they also came up with a draft, actually amazingly, for critical thinking, which when you think about it is really complicated and a lot more difficult. But again, so they're going to pilot those out. They'll talk to you at your schools about what those are. We're going to go slow. Our next step is to really talk about teaching strategies. How do you teach critical thinking and problem solving? So we're going to work on those things and take our time. And again, I would suggest that these skills are at least as, if not more important than some of the content knowledge, because of the accessibility of the internet to find these things online. I mean, if you could go online through iTunes University and hear a physics lesson from a Stanford or MIT professor, no cut to Dave Halite or anybody else, and Dave Halite probably could be teaching at Stanford or MIT, but when you can get that content information online, then it really does, I suggest, change the role of the teachers to be deliverers of context instead of content. We're going to be continuing to work on those, and we need all your help and your ideas this year. We'll take our time. We'll pick a couple of these skills each year and go ahead with that. We've also hired as Michelle mentioned earlier on, we've hired a 21st century TOSA. That's Mark Greenell sitting down here. Mark is, give him a hand. And I'm ecstatic because Mark has exactly the skills we're looking for. He's got a background in private industry and a lot of technology, been very successful teaching a lot of our at-risk students at Lopez. I can't think of a better person to help all of us figure out how to use technology in an appropriate way, whether that's in the classroom or what have you. And so, again, Mark's only one person, but he will be going around to each of your schools and trying to work with you to talk about 21st century learning. He's actually doing something at a conference that I looked at, which was called Flipped, which is where 2 teachers were talking about in their science class how they make videos of everything they want the kids to know together. The kids learn the videos outside of school. When they come into class, they're actually doing experiments, they're working together in their teams, they're applying what they're learning. And Mark has already done that with a lot of the videos that he's created. So I'm ecstatic to have Mark, and I think he's going to be a great asset to our district. The last part of our 21st Century Initiative is to really get incubators of innovation. And this is a Gen 7 building that's a modular that we will put down there in the back of Tacoma High School. And just real briefly, you know, New Tech High, some people have said to me, you know, what in the world are you doing with New Tech High during these incredibly difficult budget times? And you're wasting resources on something that only a few kids are going to have. And we hope to start New Tech High in the fall with 125 freshmen and have it grow to 500. So New Tech High, which in my opinion is actually a misnomer, it's not about technology. What it's about is how kids learn and how we empower kids to take charge of their learning and to use what they know in a meaningful way. And project-based learning, integrated learning, and New Tech, there's 50 kids and 2 teachers in every class. It's all interdisciplinary. New Tech High and IB, frankly, are only important to me in the sense that they are innovators for all of you to use. So it's not just for those kids. Yeah, if you're not a student at New Tech High or Grover Beach Elementary, then you're not going to be getting those kind of new learning methodologies. But my hope is that the teachers at those schools will become experts in project-based learning or experts in inquiry and be able to share that with the rest of you, because that really is the way I think we need to go. Kids need to be much more active in their learning. They need to take charge of their learning. They need to be given real-world projects that are meaningful. And so that's, to me, the value of New Tech and IB and all the other different kinds of innovative things that our foundation is going to support. So really, thanks to Scott and Beth and everybody on the foundation for getting that going, because we couldn't do it without it. We do have limited resources. And that's where we're going to rely really, really heavily on the foundation and our parents and our business and community members. You know, we're talking to PG&E, we're talking to the Shoe Mash, a lot of different people, and they've really been stepping up, so we hope that will continue. Our next priority is TAP, and I'm very, very excited about this. I mean, again, the reason I'm excited about TAP is not because of the performance-based compensation. The reason I'm excited about TAP is that for the first time, we have an educational model that I think most people think that rubric is very effective. And more importantly, we get feedback and coaching every week in the classroom from our best teachers. And when I was teaching, I wish that I had that. We have those weekly cluster meetings, and these are the people that are going to make TAP happen. So this is a picture of our principals and assistant principals and master and mentor teachers. They've been going through an incredible amount of training. We had 3 days of training on the rubric in June. We just finished 3 days of training on cluster meetings, which a few of them wanted to leave before we finished that, but we got through it. So we're really asking our teachers and our principals, you know, to do something differently to help give all of you feedback and coaching so we can get better. So I'm so excited about that. We will try to give our principals, administrator, and those master and mentor teachers as much support as we can, because it is really a different role, and NIT is helping us with that. Our last initiative is Career Pathways. This is a picture of one of our Skills USA teams, and Mike Shannon's in the back there, and you know, ROP classes do an amazing job to help kids get ready for the future, and we need to build on that and expand it. Not every kid is going on to a 4-year college. You know, it's getting more expensive, it's getting harder to get in there, and certainly we want to continue trying to get as many of our kids into college. But we also have to help our kids know about themselves and apply what they're learning in real-world situations. So we have a good start with our ag programs, our engineering, our auto, our culinary arts programs, but we need to build those pathways, and we really need to help kids to apply what they're learning. So that's kind of our third initiative, and there's a model. Santa Rosa City School District actually has great pathways. When kids go there, they have to pick a career pathway, a college pathway, or an individual pathway. And I think we've got to help our kids to start thinking more about what they're going to do after school and applying those programs to ROP. So the last thing, or the second to last thing I want to show you, last year I showed you a video about a flywheel that I got from Jim Collins, Good to Great. Actually, I think Ron Walton found it. But I want to show that real quick. Ryan, can you fire that up? So I think that is a good kind of metaphor for where we are. We've been pushing that dang thing as hard as we can, a lot of effort, and I think it's rolling along. I think we built up some great momentum, some great synergy in our district, thanks to you guys. And I think it's rolling, and it is a breakthrough. And I think that, again, I'm very, very proud to be your superintendent and to work with all you guys. And the last thing I will leave with you is my favorite quote of all time by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who is a writer, philosopher, poet from Germany. And so let me read that to you right now. It's about innovation, and it's about being bold. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would come his way. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. So that's my encouragement for you. Have a great year. Get going, be bold, make mistakes, and thanks a lot.